Elizabeth, we are here for another Jewish Link pitch meeting podcast. And why are we doing it on a deadline day?
I don't know. Wednesday is not usually a day we do.
It's okay. Don't worry. Wednesday's a good day for us.
It's my crazy schedule.
So we have a very, very special guest with us. Her name is Meredith Dragon. Meredith is the relatively new CEO of the Federation. Let's see if I get this right. Okay, the Jewish Federation of... I call it just MetroWest, but please give me the full name.
It's Greater MetroWest, New Jersey.
Okay.
Greater because of the merger when we merged MetroWest and Central, and New Jersey because there's a MetroWest in Massachusetts and people confuse us. So we're Greater MetroWest, New Jersey, even though MetroWest, New Jersey isn't really a place, even though it's a place.
That's correct. By the way, many of our readers don't know what MetroWest is. They don't know really what it is.
My poor family, they're still trying to figure out where we moved.
You know, there's actually the big argument in the state of New Jersey beyond the Jewish community is, and it's actually a legit thing, look it up, where is Central New Jersey?
There is no Central New Jersey.
That's the point. There is no Central New Jersey.
Right.
No one knows where Central New Jersey is.
Yeah.
Okay, because either you're in the north it's a funny state thing. It's a statewide argument. It's hilarious.
Yep.
It's actually not that hilarious when you're trying to locate yourself.
Yeah. My poor parents, they're very confused.
Yeah. By the way, we have a problem also, Liz. We say we serve. You know, we're in your area. The Jewish Link certainly covers your area, but we're not sure. Do we say Central New Jersey? Do we just say MetroWest? What we typically end up doing is our default is we go by counties. Okay?
That's smart.
So what we do is we say Middlesex, Essex Union, Essex, and that's typically how we refer to it. That's easiest for us.
You know what I learned recently on the job, which I do find very funny? There are more people in Israel who know where Greater MetroWest is than in the United States because the Greater MetroWest Federation has such a presence in Israel that Israelis know Greater MetroWest, even if we don't know what it is here.
That's actually hilarious, and I'm gonna test that next time.
Right.
But it's funny because I'm always amazed when I go to Israel, and people who know like places in New Jersey, and like, how do you know? They said, oh yeah, I lived here for 10 years in Livingston. I'm like, you did? You know, how do you know these places? Yeah. So it is really funny. So welcome to the studio. Welcome to the Jewish Link.
Thank you.
We are happy to.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
100%. Off camera, going to recognize your Deborah Diamond, your chief marketing officer, for facilitating this. So really happy to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
The Jewish Link, first of all, feels very close to, as I was saying before off camera, that very close to your community. Our readers are a big part of the MetroWest area. So I guess the first question really is how has it been the first 4 months on the job?
I think it's a great question. It's been great. Really happy. I'm enjoying getting to know the area. I grew up on Long Island, so obviously not New Jersey, but it feels very familiar to me. The community has been incredibly warm and welcoming and interested in my thoughts professionally, and it's a large, caring, committed Jewish community, so it feels really good to be here.
That's good. Yeah. Interesting that you say that about that. It feels familiar. Yeah, I mean, this definitely, if you're a Long Islander, I guess there's a familiarity between the suburbs of New York, Long Island, and the suburbs in New Jersey. No question.
Many people said to me, you've been in communities where there have been cities, where there's a concentrated area, and this is a much more dispersed area, and how will you manage that differently? For me, this is how I grew up. So it doesn't bother me that there isn't really a metropolitan area that's an anchor, because I kind of like that Greater MetroWest is a community of communities. It gives an interesting flavor and feel and texture to the various streams of Jewish life and where people live and what it looks like.
That makes sense.
And we don't really meet too many career federation CEOs, but there are a few. You must be one of them.
I am.
Can you tell us where else you've been and the different communities that you've served?
Yeah. Interesting. This was not, like, when you asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, I never would have said a federation career professional. I didn't even know what a federation was actually growing up, because I grew up on the east end of Long Island. There was no federation there. Even the first time I was hired to work at a federation, to be honest, I wasn't even quite sure what the federation did, but I was hired for a job, so I figured it out. But I started in Jacksonville, Florida as the number 2 there when I was a baby. I was 24 years old, which I'm still trying to figure out how I was hired, but it was a great job. It's where I met my husband. My children were born there. And then from there, I went to Western Massachusetts to be the CEO at the Jewish Federation of Western Massachusetts, which covers sort of the central part of the state of Massachusetts. And then from there, we went to Rochester, New York, where I was the CEO for almost 10 years in Rochester, New York, and then here.
Wow.
So it's been a really great, I feel very fortunate. It's been a really great career. And, there are days I sort of sit back and think, I'm not quite sure how this became my life, but I really love what I do.
And just tell us quick, what's been the contrast between Rochester and MetroWest? Because actually, I'm a little bit but apart from lake effect snow.
Yeah.
So
the weather's more similar than different, actually. It's been cold here.
Cold this winter.
Not always, by the way. I promise you.
It's been weird.
It's been a weird November.
The big difference is the sunshine. There's a lot more sunshine here than there is in Rochester. Rochester's really gray all winter, which is sort of what is really a challenge. What's interesting is there are actually a lot more similarities between the Rochester Jewish community and Greater Metro West than I would have expected. And I keep finding the similarities actually very lovely. Obviously, this community is significantly larger than the Jewish community, but the similarities are a level of commitment to Israel and Zionism, very philanthropic, strong agencies that sort of anchor the community along with Federation and the strength of Federation. And some of the challenges are very similar in fundraising and sharing who we are, what we do and why, and the balance between how much does Federation do as a service provider versus how much we do as a fundraising organization and what that looks like. So those things have actually felt very familiar, and that's been a big surprise to me, actually. The big differences really are the size and scope. There are obviously a lot more people, a lot more institutions, a much larger staff, and some depth to staff. We have a bench, which I've never really had before. We had a staff of just a little over 30 in Rochester, and we have a staff here of over 100. So It's been sort of fun for me to really dig into seeing what our staff does and having more help. In Rochester, I'd come up with an idea that I'd want to have done, and I'd sort of look around and say, well, who's going to help me with this? And there weren't very many people. Here, I come up with an idea, and miraculously, things start to happen. So it's
That's
exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's in terms of number differences, like the annual campaign in Rochester? What's the?
So there are about 20,000 Jews, a little shy of 20,000 Jews in Rochester, and we raised the annual campaign raised about $4.5 million, and then we'd usually raise about another $1.5 million in supplemental giving. So anywhere from $6 to $7 million. Other than the year of October 7th, in Rochester, we raised $11 million that year, which, because of the strong connection with Israel. And here, the annual campaign is just around $23 million with about another $12 million in supplemental giving. So, it's 35 compared to 6 or 7, which, the interesting thing about Rochester philanthropically is we sort of punched above our weight in terms of the ability to raise dollars. And I think here we could probably be doing a little better in terms of fundraising. There's a lot of opportunity here, and certainly a lot of generosity and some untapped resources that we're looking to tap into.
100%. That's for sure. We know some of your donors, and they're definitely you're definitely right about that. Okay, actually, I didn't realize how much bigger MetroWest was versus Rochester. I actually thought I thought maybe it was double. I didn't realize it was threefold. But
and it is more encapsulated. Rochester is more, whereas the edges are a little more.
Yes, for sure. It's a pretty tiny area that Rochester covers. 50% of the Jewish community lives in
Brighton, right?
50% lives in Brighton, and then another almost 20% live in Pittsford. So 70% of the Jewish community lives in a fairly small area. Yeah.
It's almost reminds you a little bit like Pittsburgh, where the community really clusters in, let's say, Squirrel Hill. Which you don't really have. I'm just trying to think MetroWest. There's Jewish communities in almost every one of those towns.
Yes,
I think
for sure.
So.
It's interesting because you look at the places in Greater Metro West that are really growing, and it's not really Livingston, Short Hills, and the Oranges. It's in Union County, Scotch Plains, Westfield. Those institutions, the Jewish institutions there, are bursting at the seams, and it's interesting to sort of see the growth and the change in those areas.
What are you seeing in those areas? Because actually, that's actually a little bit new. That's a little bit new
Elizabeth
for us.
and Linden.
No, but you're talking about Scotch Plains. So what are you saying in Westfield? The next generation's moving there?
Yeah, younger families. Actually, the Temple Emmanuel, which is the Reform congregation in Westfield, has the most number of bar bat mitzvahs in the region this year. I mean, they have like double bar bat mitzvahs every weekend. We were there for Yom Kippur, and I mean, it's literally bursting at the seams. The synagogue is too small; they need to add space on, which isn't the norm these days at synagogues. You know, we're usually talking about shrinking and how do you manage congregations that are contracting, not expanding. And the JCC in Scotch Plains, I was just there a couple of Fridays ago, and the preschool is oversubscribed, really. Mostly Jewish families, very, very committed, and the building is just bustling and bursting. So it was exciting to be there.
So that's a little bit that's a little bit new for us, no? I mean,
right. I would actually say that
we're not used to that narrative, actually,
right, so
outside of our community.
Teaneck, Bergenfield, where you are now, also has a similar narrative of bursting at the seams. The synagogues, the neighborhoods keep broadening and keep moving, and little shuls keep popping up, and the stroller parking lots become, bigger and bigger, and it's really nice on Shabbat.
It's great.
We have not seen, except for Wyckoff and some of the other edges of Bergen, and also Temple Emmanuel up near the border of New York. I'm blanking.
Orangeburg, Mawa.
Yeah, those are doing okay, but really, like, we haven't seen a great outpouring of like Shomer Shabbos, style communities, or like the communities that have a nice Solomon Schechter in the area. Like,
for example, the Schechters are not as strong here. It's actually very interesting. The Schechter in this community is I think 40% from the Orthodox community.
Yeah, that's
interesting. And it's very vibrant.
It is very
Schechter
vibrant. That's actually well, you're telling me it's actually interesting. We should.
It is interesting.
I'm glad. But I wouldn't want to bore you.
But what I am interested in was something you said a little bit earlier on, which was about the October 7th increase, the massive increase in fundraising. So as you came out of that experience and into the MetroWest experience, can you talk more about post October 7th priorities, how the fundraising message has maybe changed, how the programming has changed, and what has stayed the same also? Like, is the programming for seniors the same? Is it different? Or is there more interest in international affairs, the trips, the missions, things like that?
So here too, I mean, the Federation here raised $32 million in the emergency campaign, which is extraordinary. And I think what we're seeing here and really across the country post-October 7th is a very interesting surge in Jewish life. I think with the rise in anti-Semitism, but also with October 7th, I think you found there were a lot of Jews who just didn't necessarily believe in their lifetime that we would see something like October 7th. And I think it's caused an uptick in people being interested in coming and participating in various ways. And I know, even though I haven't been here to see much of this, what I hear from my colleagues is that there's been far greater participation in Federation programs, particularly with younger families. I think younger families are really looking to help their children connect, to find meaning and grounding. And I think, when we talk about fighting anti-Semitism, I think one of the most important things that we can do in that realm is create proud Jews. And I think people understand that, and they know that it needs to start with young families. So we are really emphasizing, we're finishing a strategic plan that we'll be rolling out. And one of the important pieces of that plan is really working with young families and helping young families really connect with Jewish life in meaningful ways, and understanding that the future of our community is with those families, and helping them feel good about Jewish life, that their kids feel proud to be Jews, and that they don't hide their Judaism. And I think that, across the country is really one of the most important outgrowths of October 7th. That and the sense of making sure we deepen our connections with Israel, for sure. Whether that's in missions, taking young people, Israel education, and unfortunately, as we know, anti-Zionism has been on the rise, and we look around even, here in the metro area, and we see the impact of anti-Zionism. And I think, one of our core tenets that we're going to be working on with our strategic plan is really deepening those connections with Israel for all ages, getting more people to Israel, offering more educational opportunities, and giving people the opportunity really to dig into what it means to be a Zionist and connect with Israel.
We heard an interesting statistic, I think it was last week or the week before, about how much federations push toward day schools at this point, and Northern New Jersey basically is saying that they are really starting to prioritize getting scholarships to students there, getting more people into a day school experience. Is there a similar push in MetroWest?
Yeah, and there has been for a long time. I mean, we're very fortunate because of our Jewish Community Foundation. We've had a day school initiative now for a long time that was funded by the Gottesman family, thanks to Paul Gottesman.
Yeah. Yep.
And that has helped a lot of families go to day school. It's also helped really strengthen the educational quality in our day schools. I mean, the day schools in our catchment area are really outstanding. And there still needs to be more of a focus on it. And we've been talking about what that looks like as well. I think day school education is one of the most important ways that we can strengthen our Jewish community. I'm, very proudly, we have 3 children, 3 boys, all 3 of whom went to day school. And I think one of the greatest gifts that we can give our children is going to day school because it instills an incredible amount of Jewish pride. I see how comfortable my children are in their Jewish skin. And as much as that comes from the home in which they grew up, it also came from being in day school. And I do believe that it is incredibly important to help families understand the benefit that it not only provides for children, but that it provides to parents and their home in really developing Jewish life. So, I mean, we still have our day school initiative. And then obviously we've talked about realigning funding and ensuring that our day schools continue to be a priority for our annual campaign funding.
It really tracks with what's been going on up here as well.
100%. Have you had a chance yet to get involved to meet the new governor? Because a lot of the work of the CEO, at least from what I've seen over the last, what we've seen has been a lot a lot of what we've seen. A lot of CEO Federation staff has really been on the political side, really the hobnobbing, going to Trenton. Have you started that? Where are you holding on that, or you're still obviously you just started? So.
A little bit, but we're very fortunate. We have an amazing JCRC director in Linda Scherzer, who is really extraordinary. Linda's great, and she's done a lot of that work, and she's been a great partner with me. So I have not met our incoming governor yet, but. She's from
the MetroWest area.
She is, and she picks up the phone and calls Linda. They have a great relationship, which is important. And I have gotten involved. We work with a consulting firm that helps us with the work that we do in Trenton. So I've actually been more in touch with them as our link. Than
we know them, by the way. The NASA people.
And they've really been outstanding. Yep. I feel very lucky that we have them as a resource. So it is something I have spent a lot of time doing in the last number of years. In New York. And, I had the good fortune of meeting Governor Hochul several times, but I haven't quite had the time yet to get into that here. And Linda's doing such a fantastic job that I haven't necessarily had to spend the time there, but it is something that I really enjoy doing, and something where I've got a lot of pleasure out of that work in New York. And certainly when I will get to that here too.
We just not to give a commercial for our own podcast on this podcast,
That's
but
okay.
About 6 months ago we interviewed Jason Shamas from Northern New Jersey Federation, and he sort of explained his quarterbacking of the advocacy in Trenton on the IHRA definition, which is still not resolved, by the way. And there's one more. It's like, I know.
It's been a very frustrating week in terms of the IHRA definition. Yeah.
Right. So, but it just in terms of the level of fight and the level of people you have with you in Jersey fighting on this team, it's a good team to be on.
It's amazing.
Think it's the right side of history and all that.
Totally agree.
These are amazing people, and it's really, really important that our federations be
I could not agree more.
600,000 Jews in New Jersey. We are who they are.
Yes,
so
and
powerful.
One of the things that we worked on in New York a lot, which I think is an area that I want to dive into a little bit more, is building some more allyship. Because while we are 600,000, we're still a really small minority. And if we don't do a better job building allyship with people who will stand by our side and advocate with us, my fear is that we'll get lost along the way. And I think we're seeing a little bit of that right now. Even in a place like New York, where it's the largest Jewish community in the United States, we're struggling, and we need good allies, and we don't have enough of them. And I think it's important to develop that allyship.
Yeah.
And there are people who want to stand with us and stand by us. And I did some of that work in Rochester. It was really important. We developed a strong relationship with the Indian community, interestingly. And
You're strong here too.
yeah. And, I think that the more that we can be good allies to others, they'll be good allies with us. And we need that for better or for worse.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. The Indian community values independence and self-determination. And
very similar
they
values.
Get that.
Yes,
Yeah.
very similar values in regard to family and education. And look, India and Israel have good relations. So
Yeah.
Also in Washington, we've seen, not to name other podcasts and other people who we've interviewed, but the Washington experience with OU advocacy and the Archdiocese has been like amazing.
Yeah.
And it's shared values, it's shared interest in priorities, private school funding, all that stuff that has brought the two communities together. So we need more of that.
And we need each other. We do.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with the Muslim community, there were efforts. I think October 7th has hurt some of that stuff.
Yes.
But they're definitely, before October 7th, there were I think there were attempts. That we certainly were aligned on many things.
Yeah.
And less so today, perhaps. Not
a lot of post October 7th splintering, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But,
Seemingly.
But our co-publisher, Moshe's co-publisher, Mendy Schwartz, who is currently mayor of Teaneck, has been really, he was at the forefront the last 5-7 years, marching for Black Lives Matter, marching for rights of immigrants, Native peoples, all these kinds of things. And a lot of those relationships have been very difficult to maintain in the post-October 7th environment. Not for lack of trying.
Who's been a great friend to the Jewish community that most people don't know about, that I found fascinating, is the Native American community.
Oh, yeah.
And the issues around indigeneity that they understand in the Jewish community. They have been really incredible advocates for the Jewish community. Many of them have traveled to Israel and really, speak so kindly on our behalf. Not this past year, but the year before, when I was at the General Assembly in Washington, there was a very large delegation of the Native American community that attended to lend and show their support to the Jewish community.
And there's a community that's even smaller than the Jewish community in America.
That's right.
But still, we still love them.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell us about your recent trip to Israel. We heard you just got back. Or
I did. I was there end of October, beginning of November. It was really great. It was wonderful to be there on behalf of Greater MetroWest. It was sort of a threefer, which was nice. I started off going to the Jewish Agency Board of Governors meetings, which I've been serving on the Board of Governors, and now I'm there representing Greater MetroWest. It was wonderful to be there with Mark Wilf, who is chair of the Jewish Agency, so that was exciting.
And also from your area, of course.
And yes, of course, from Greater MetroWest. He's a past president. His wife Jane chaired the search committee that hired me, so I'm very indebted to them. And it's interesting. Even though I've been a part of the Jewish Agency for quite some time professionally, it felt different representing Greater MetroWest because of the reputation that we have in the most positive of ways. So it was great, and I was very warmly welcomed. And then I spent a few days traveling. We have 6 partnership communities, one of which is in Ukraine, 5 of which are in Israel. So I toured with our staff and really got to see the communities that we partner with and work with, from a Druze village in the north, Horfesh, all the way through Rishon LeZion, and then the communities that we work with in the south, which are Arad, Ofakim, Kibbutz Erez, and Merchabim. So I really got a sort of a deep dive into the programs that we're funding. We're doing a lot of work around pluralism and shared society. So I got to meet many of the organizations that we are funding. And then, of course, getting to meet our partners with whom we've been working for a long time. Ofakim, we're about to celebrate our 30th anniversary of our partnership.
They're the oldest partnership,
yes,
I think.
Correct.
Ofakim.
Yeah. So that's 30 years in February. So that was really great. And then I stayed on, and we had a women's mission that arrived, and I was able to join our women's mission. There were about 20 of us. And it was, a group of just wonderfully committed, generous, philanthropic women, most of whom hadn't been to Israel post-October 7th. Some had. And it was a mixture of really seeing the impact of October 7th, seeing where the needs are in Israel moving forward, and really experiencing what we can and should be doing in terms of our philanthropic support in a post-October 7th world. And then we also had some fun, because how can you go to Israel and not have fun? But it was great. It was wonderful being with the women and getting to know them, and really, many of these women are really our tried and true. So it was great.
It makes it sound like the first 2 trips there was no fun as well.
No, it was fun too. I mean, the Board of Governors meetings is serious. There, I'm aware. But listen, being in Israel is always fun in general. And
so how long was the trip? That sounds like a 3 or 4 week.
It was 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's not that's not so.
No, it was I squished a lot into 2 weeks, and it was it was great. And I you don't really have to ask me twice to go to Israel. So.
By the way, how many times have you been in Israel since October 7th?
That's a good question. That might have been my.
It's only
fifth.
been over 2.5 years. So.
Yeah, I know, but 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was my 5th trip.
Wow.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, something like that.
So on this women's leadership, did you take them down south? We
did. Because many of them hadn't been, but 2, we wanted to visit our partner communities, which is important. We were at Kibbutz Erez, we were at Ofakim, and I think I forgot to mention Arad earlier as one of our partners. I was in Arad too. That'd be bad if I left them out. I mean, it's important that many of the women have very deep relationships with our partnership communities, with people who live there. And I think it's just every time we go to Israel now, I think it's really important that we continue to show up in the Gaza envelope and the OTEF and make sure that people understand the Jewish community in America stands by the side of those most impacted.
I'll just share this with you. I just feel like the more you can get people from your, more people you get going to Israel, traveling to Israel, connected to Israel, short of obviously making everyone send their kids to. I tell them, I want you to know in our paper, my happiest advertisers are my Israeli realtors, because everyone in our community, at least my community, dreams of first of all visiting Israel at least once a year, has relatives there, wants to be there. Elizabeth here sitting next to me threatens to make Aliyah every so often. And she may
as recently as this week.
So she may actually do it. But my point is like that, really that connection. It doesn't really make a difference where you stand politically or not, but that connection to Israel is really important.
Yeah. So for full disclosure, my husband's Israeli. So the Israel peace connection family.
So your kids are already dual citizens.
In theory, I mean, they don't actually have their Israeli passports, but that's a long story. But yes, and my kids, we were just my middle son just returned from Israel today, as a matter of fact, and we were talking in the car about how many times each of them have been, and it's. Even my youngest, I think, has been 7 or 8 times, and he's only 18. So, it's.
But that explains a lot, actually. The fact that your husband's Israeli.
Explains a lot about me.
No, it explains a lot about your family, about who you are, meaning the fact that your husband's Israeli. I look at it, you're an Israeli family on a certain level. Many of the Israelis we know, like they'll send their kids home to Israel for the summer, or they do, like they'll be in Israel for July and August, but that's not typical. Meaning,
I know
that's
it's not typical.
That's the point. The point is if you're not married to an Israeli, then you're not going to have that strength of connection.
So, I mean, the reason why I ended up in Jewish communal service in the Federation system is because of the work that we do in Israel and overseas. As much as I love building Jewish life in America, and I really do love that, the overseas connection for me has always been part and parcel to this work. And I really was this close to making Aliyah at one point in my life, long before I was married and had kids, and actually my husband and I met in the States. But I wouldn't be doing this work if we didn't have those connections with Israel and global Jewry. I mean, that really is what keeps me going. So
Makes sense.
That sort of, I guess, that leads us to maybe a good last question, like really meaty and like really digging deep. But how can we bring the two together a little more? Like the education that we all find important in the day schools that we've all put our children through, and combining that with a strong, deep love of Israel and understanding of the fight that we're in, combined with the love of America, where we've all grown up, where we're, I mean, I assume all 3 of us were even born here and are, bonded with the United States in a very primal way. But in some ways, that community here in America does seem to not be as welcoming as it was 2.5 years ago. And a lot of us, I think part of the Teaneck community, Teaneck-Bergenfield community struggle, where we're all dreaming of retiring there or bringing our kids there or all this stuff. It's part of that deep, unseated feeling of discomfort in America. And what can Federation do in that breach? How can we make sure Federation continues to be like a place where people can go, where people are drawn?
Gosh, I could talk about that question for hours.
Okay.
But just a few thoughts. One is that I think I'm actually hopeful. I really am an eternal optimist. I'm hopeful in that I think one of the things that we forget is there are still more people in this country who love us than hate us. Even though the hate is growing, and I don't want to diminish that, and I'm not advocating for intermarriage either. And there are more people who are interested in being with Jews than not. And that's, sort of a novelty of today. There are more people marrying us than finding that they hate us, which, and I think that the hate gets much more media attention than the love. And that's really unfortunate, because when you look at, the other piece of your question, which is America, obviously, America has been very good to the Jewish people, and the Jewish people have been very good to America. And if you look at the history of Jewish life, even though it's been short, since the 1600s of American Jewry in the United States, there has never been a group of more successful, thriving Jews outside of Israel in the history of the Jewish people than in America. And we can't diminish that. And we can't forget it, because we are still doing really well, even though the last 2.5 years obviously have been really challenging, and I don't want to minimize how challenging they've been. But I think that there is strength and there's power in the American Jewish community, and we need to use that strength to help continue to build and grow, which is also a piece of the answer to your question, is the relationship with Israel. I think we have to use that power and strength to get as many people to Israel as humanly possible. Look, it's not to say there aren't challenges in Israel. There are, and life there is not perfect in the same way that life here is not perfect, and not everything is great, and we can't diminish that because no country is perfect. But I think we have to discuss those challenges with Israel in Israel. I just don't think there's a better way to talk about the challenges that we have as Jews and as American Jews, and particularly with Israel, than when you're standing in Israel and having those conversations with Israelis. And I think it's our obligation to make sure that we get American Jews to Israel to do that, because I think it helps strengthen our American Jewish communities here. The American Jewish community needs a strong Israel, and Israel needs a strong American Jewish community, and we're obligated to help each other in our strength. And the more that we can do that with our families, with our young people, our teens, our college students, the better off both of us will be. And that's really what I really hope to bring to the work that we're doing, because it's critical. It's critical for our survival.
Mm-hmm. And just one last thing, has MetroWest been doing these big-ish birthright missions yet, or have been in discussions to do those?
So there have been conversations, but there haven't been any big ones. We're doing a honeymoon Israel trip actually this year, which I'm really excited about. We have a bus of young people doing honeymoon Israel,
cute.
Which is great.
That's a great idea.
A honeymoon, what do you mean by honeymoon?
It's a program. It's called Honeymoon Israel.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And it's for young couples who have been married less than 5 years, whether they're two Jews, intermarried or otherwise. And it's sort of like birthright for young married couples, generally before they have children. It was started actually by a Federation professional, and somebody else came out of a GA many years ago. And they were really growing and building right before October 7th. But many communities have done these honeymoon Israel trips, and they're great. So we have one of those, and we'll look to having more Israel experiences sort of in the...
Yeah.
All right, look,
and we're going to do another mega mission, actually.
What a mega mission is what, like 200 people, 100 people?
The last time I think was 500. I think we're looking for 500.
Those are big numbers. That's great. I hope you get them.
Yeah,
That's
me
great.
too. We'll do it for Israel's 80th, which is 2 years away.
Okay.
2.5 years away.
That is, okay. That's a mega. When was the last one?
It was Israel 75. We tend to do them every 5 years.
Okay. Did you do anything like that at Rochester as well?
We had missions in Rochester, not a mega one. I did one in Massachusetts. For Massachusetts, we had 131 people, which was a lot there. But
yeah.
Beautiful.
By the way, with MetroWest, you can possibly even think bigger. If they already did 500, they could probably get more with a bit of pushing. So
potentially, yeah. We'll see. You should come. Come with us.
All right.
You can write about
it.
So the answer is yes. The answer is Elizabeth will always say yes to any Israel trip.
By the way, so will I.
Yeah.
You don't have to ask me twice.
I will sometimes be a little more circumspect, but certainly I'm going to be thankful for the invitation. We won't both be going. We would decide
one or the other.
Okay.
Got it.
And then sometimes what we'll often do is we'll give it to someone from the MetroWest area,
to have
like a community editor writer who actually may even it would be seen as a really nice benefit to them, and also benefit
and would be able to sort of report from inside from
correct. Absolutely, no, 100%. We'll put that on our radar screen for sure.
Great. We don't have dates yet, but we're just trying to work on it.
That's amazing. That's great.
You'll do in the summer though, probably, no?
I'm not sure. The last one we did in the summer, and I think that they're thinking not summer this time because of how hot it was last summer. The last time I went, but I don't know. We really haven't.
Okay, mega mission. All right, we'll keep that in mind. Anything else that's going on in Federation that you want to share with us that you've put your stamp on, or that's something that new that you're trying to that maybe we haven't heard about yet, or you want to tease, so to speak, on a podcast like this, which also turns into an article as well. So,
I think. I mean, I've really been on a listening tour for the last few months, really trying to tie together the needs of our donors, our volunteers, leadership, professionals. I think the strategic plan, rolling that out, is going to be a very big deal in the next couple of months. We're really looking at streamlining our work and honing in on the places where we can have the greatest impact, Israel and overseas being one of them. So I think you'll see some changes coming up in the next few months because of our strategic plan. I'm excited about them. I'm excited about the focus and really streamlining the work that we do, focusing on education, Israel, many of the things that we talked about already today. So that's exciting for me, and it's really great to walk into an organization and already have alignment around the things for me professionally that I think are important and our leadership. So that's really it's been great. It's been a gift to have that strategic plan. So yeah. Great.
So I would say thank you very much for being here.
It was
really a pleasure. First, it was a pleasure meeting you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Now I feel like I have to come visit you. I will try to visit you. Because I actually haven't been in the last 2-3 years. But before, when we started coming down in a very serious way to the MetroWest area. I did make a lot more trips. And truth is, I should probably come down again.
And congratulations. I mean, your publication is really outstanding, and the work that you're doing is great. And kol hakavod.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're looking forward to you actually seeing yourself in our paper at some point, God willing.
I'll have to come to the office on a Friday so I can get it.
Well, you can.
We'll bring it to you.
Hopefully, tell the security guard to set one aside.
Leave me a copy.
Okay. Yes.
We'll do that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us on the Jewish Link Pitch Meeting podcast. If you would like to participate or be in touch with us in any way, please email us at editor@jewishlink.news and follow us and find our podcast wherever you find podcasts.